Buenos días. Espero todos estén bien. Am, hoy es sábado, Storytelling Time con Maye. Hoy voy a decir este cuento de la joven con la cara áspera en inglés, que ya se las puse en español para que la vieran de antemano, para que entendieran más el inglés, si es que están aprendiendo inglés. Si no, después la pueden ver en español y luego en inglés otra vez. Así que hoy les voy a contar el cuento de The Rough Face Girl in inglés. So today I'm going to do The Rough Face Girl in English, since I already did it in Spanish and uploaded it for people that need it in Spanish beforehand. Um, so today I am wearing my jewelry that is Native American. I wanted to tell you that actually this this bracelet is Native American and this ring is from Mexico. I want you to see the similarities between the Mexican jewelry and the American jewelry from the Native Americans. This is also from Mexico. So I want you to see that I've mentioned before, how similar the natives were in their way of crafting, writing, and symbols. I have a vest that has symbols. I will show you more symbols at the end, but I just want you to know how similar they are with their basket weaving, their jewelry making, their surviving with the land. So today it is storytelling time, just like the Pueblo natives would gather their children around them to and the evenings by the campfire to share stories and pass on their wisdom. So today I hope you learn a lesson with this story. It's a beautiful story. It is a story, like I've mentioned before, The Rough Faced Girl. It is a Native American version of our classic Cinderella story. And it is like by Ralph Martin and David Shannon. Once long ago, there was a village by the shores of Lake Ontario. The natives always camped by the lakes because they could fish and they could be close to the land and also be aware of any invaders. Here is a wigwam or a teepee. Off the Off from the other wigwams of this village stood one great huge wigwam. Painted on its sides were pictures of the sun, moon, stars, plants, trees, and animals. And inside this there was said to live a very great, rich, powerful, and supposedly handsome invisible being. However, no one could see him except his sister who lived there too. Many women wanted to marry this invisible being, but his sister said, only the one who can see him can marry him. Beautiful teepee. Now, in this village there lived a poor man who had three daughters. The two older daughters were cruel and hard-hearted, and they made their youngest sister sit by the fire and feed the flames. When the burning branches popped, the sparks fell on her. In time, her hands became burnt and scarred. Her arms, too, became rough and scarred. Even her face was marked by the fire, and her beautiful long hair hung ragged and charred. And those two older sisters laughed at her, saying, "Ha! You were ugly, you rough-faced girl." And they made her life very lonely and miserable indeed. I'm not sure where that light is coming from. So here were the two sisters. One day these two sisters went to their father and said, "Father, give us some necklaces. Give us some new buckskin dresses. Give us some pretty beaded moccasins. We're going to marry the invisible being." So their father gave them these things. Dressed in their fires, the two girls marched through the village. All the people pointed and stared. "Look at those beautiful girls," they said. "Surely they shall marry the invisible being." And in those and if those two girls were proud and hard-hearted before, they were even more proud now. They walked haughty through the village. At last they came to the wigwam of the invisible being, and there was his sister waiting. These were the very conceited, cruel sisters. And this is the invisible being's sister. "Why have you come?" she asked. "We want to marry the invisible being," they answered. "That's why we're here." "If you want to marry my brother," she replied, "you have to have seen him. Tell me, have you seen the invisible being?" "Of course we've seen him," they insisted. "Can't you see how pretty we are? Can't you see the beautiful clothes we wear? Oh yes, anyone can tell that we've truly seen the invisible being." "All right," she said quietly, "if you think you've seen him, then tell me, what's his bow made of?" And suddenly her voice was swift as lightning and strong as thunder. So she wasn't going to be fooled. She was going to ask them questions to see if indeed they had seen the invisible being. His bow, they stammered in surprise. "His bow? We know." But turning desperately to one another, they whispered, "What shall we say?" "Let's say it's the oak tree," they said. "It's the oak tree." "No," said the sister of the invisible being. "No." Oh, she saw at once how they lied. "Tell me," she continued, "if you think you've seen my brother, the invisible being, then what's the runner of his sled made of?" We know," cried those two sisters. But whispering feverishly again, they wondered, "What shall we say? What shall we say?" "Let's say it's the green willow branch." "No," said the sister when she heard. "No, you have not seen my brother. Now go home." "Just test us fairly," they exclaimed. "We've seen him. Just don't ask us all those silly questions." So they were trying to lie their way through this. Now watch this illustration. "All right," said the sister of the invisible being, "come with me." And she took them to the great wigwam and sat them in the seats furthest from the guest seats. Soon they heard footsteps coming along the path. Then something stepped inside. Though they were breathing, though they heard breathing, the two sisters couldn't see a thing. Suddenly, a great bow and a beaded quiver of arrows appeared in the air and were set down. But though those two girls sat there, their eyes wide all through the night, they never saw a thing more. And in the morning, they had to go home ashamed. So the being was there, but they could not see him. Now, this is the youngest sister, the one they were cruel to. The next day, the rough-faced girl went to her father and said, "Father, may I please have some beads? May I please have a few buckskin a new buckskin dress and some pretty moccasins? I'm going to marry the invisible being, for wherever I look, I see his face." But his father sighed. "Hi, daughter," he said. "I'm sorry, I have no beads left for you, only some old broken shells. I have no buckskin dress, and as for moccasins, all I have left are my old, worn, cracked, and stretched out pair from last year, and they're much too big." But she said, "Whatever you can spare, I can use." So he gave her these things. So he didn't have much, but she was happy to take what he could. See his moccasins here and the broken shelves here. Then she found dried reeds, and taking the little broken shells, she strung a necklace. She stripped birch bark from the dead trees and made a cap, a dress, and leggings. Then, with one sharp piece of stone, she carved in the bark pictures of the sun, the moon, stars, plants, trees, and animals. She went down to the lake shore and soaked the moccasins in the water until they grew soft. Then she molded them to her feet, but they were still too big, and they flopped, 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 and flapped like ducks' feet in as she walked. Then all the people came out of their wigwams. They pointed and stared. Look at that ugly girl, they laughed. Look at her strange clothes. Hey, 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 go home, you ugly girl. You'll never marry the invisible being. But the rough faced girl had faith in herself and she had courage. She didn't turn back. She just kept walking right through the village. I want you to look at this illustration very carefully. Do you see something? Something she sees all the time? I won't tell you yet. Let's see if you can figure it out. As she walked on the and as she walked on, she saw the great beauty of the earth and sky spreading before her. Do you see what you can see? Do you see those birds? What are they? See the rainbow? It's part of that face. And under the rainbow is the mouth. How cool this illustration is. She could see this all the time. And here is the sister waiting for her at the lake shore. Oh, I'm trying to get that light out. At last she came to the lake shore just as the sun was sinking behind the hills and the many stars came glittering out like a fiery veil in the darkening sky overhead. And there, standing by the water's edge, was the sister of the invisible being. Now the sister of the invisible being was a wise woman. When she looked at you, she didn't see just your face or your hair or clothes. No. When she looked at you, she would look you right in the eyes and she could see all the way down to your heart. And she could tell if you had a good, kind heart or a cold heart and a cruel one. And when she looked at the rough-faced girl, she saw at once though her skin was scarred, her hair burned, her clothes strange, she had a beautiful, kind heart. And so she welcomed her dearly, saying, Ah, my sister, why have you come? And the rough-faced girl replied, I have come to marry the invisible being. See that now? Ah, said the sister very gently. Now, if you want to marry him, you have to have seen him. Tell me, have you seen my brother, the invisible being? And the rough girl said, Yes. All right then, said the sister. If you have seen him, tell me what's his bow made of. And the rough-faced girl said, His bow? What is the? It's the great curve of the rainbow. See that? It's the curve of the rainbow. Look at this. This is a cool picture too. It's just a little darker. See if you can see it. I want you to see it while I read because I want you to look at something. I'm sorry about that light. I can't figure it out. Ah, exclaimed the sister in excitement. Tell me, she asked. You have seen my brother, the invisible being. What's the runner of his sled made of? And the rough-faced girl, looking up into the night sky, said, the runner of his sled? Why, it is the spirit road, the Milky Way of the stars that spread across the sky. So it was the Milky Way in the sky, the stars. Ah, cried the sister in wonder and delight. You have seen him. Come with me. And taking the rough-faced girl by the hand, she led her back to the great wigwam and set her in the seat next to the entrance, the wife's seat. Then they heard footsteps coming along the path, closer and closer. The entrance flap of the wigwam lifted up, and in stepped the invisible being. And when he saw her sitting there, he said, at last we have been found out. Then, smiling kindly, he added, and oh, my sister, but she is beautiful. And his sister said, yes. He saw the beauty beyond the rough skin and the clothes that were not the best. But look at her now. The sister of the invisible being then gave the rough-faced girl the finest of buckskin robes and a necklace of perfect shells. Now bathe in the lake, she said, and dress in these. So the rough-faced girl bathed in the waters of the lake. Suddenly all the scars vanished from her body. Her skin grew smooth again, and her beautiful black hair grew in long and glossy as a raven's wing. Now anyone could see that she was indeed beautiful, but the invisible being and his sister had seen that from the start. Then at last the rough-faced girl and the invisible being were married, and they lived together in great gladness and were never parted. So there, the rough-faced girl found his prince, just like Cinderella. Beautiful, beautiful story. I happen to have an extra one of the rough-faced girl. It's a little more used, a little more loved and read, but it's all there. And I have an extra of the Legend of the Indian Paintbrush. If anybody lives close by me and would like to pick these up, and other books I have that I'm still trying to give away, please let me know. You can find my information on my website. I hope you have that. Or just send me a message on Messenger. But this is the legend of, the rough-faced girl. Beautiful story. I just love it. And so I have in line the Indian paintbrush in Spanish, La Leyenda del Pincel Indio. And I also have it in English. And then I have the legend of the blue bonnet coming next for my next story time. Before I let you go, I wanted to share something with you. Oh, I forgot to show you something. When we were looking to see if what he looked like, let me see. When she was trying to figure out what the invisible being looked like, before we actually saw him appear in front of her, I was gonna ask. Oh, and I forgot, but I'll still do it. I was gonna ask, do you think he looks like this? This is one of my Kachina dolls. Or maybe he looked like this. Nope, not like these true Kachina, but like this. So anyway, I just wanted to share my Kachina dolls because this is part of the Native Americans healing ceremony dolls that they have. All right. I also wanted to show you. I have an old jacket that's made out of this kind of material. I think it's leather, so it's kind of like those Indian cowboy jackets that I've had forever. I thought I would share that. And then I wanted to show you how you can make your own little vest. If you take a paper bag, si toman una bolsa, pueden hacer un chaleco. You can make a vest. So if you take this and you cut it, si le cortan el centro de enfrente y le hacen donde entra el cuello acá, and then you do the arms and enough for the head, you make yourself a vest. And then you could add all the symbols. Pueden encontrar todos los símbolos en el internet, Native American symbols. So I colored some on these and put the significance of, the happy, the sad, the war, the wise man, the great spirit, the people, the woman, the man, the bear, the eagle, the turtle, all the things that were important to them. And so you can make a vest. And then when you cut the bottom, before you cut the fringe, you can make a headband. I didn't have a feather, so I improvised. I put in some leaves. You could do a headband. So you could do this fun activity with your kiddos. And then you could also take this back of the bag and trace out the skin. So this could be a buffalo skin or a bear skin. And once you cut it out, you add symbols again. Rain, famine, there's no meat. So there is hambre, hay hambre, no hay comida. La lluvia, la gente, la fogata or the campfire, many buffalo, fish, 3 days, many days, no buffalo, look, crow, and circling. So I picked all those out of the internet when you go and find Native American symbols. Okay, so I'm hoping if you still want to have some books and give away some books to kids for Christmas, please let me know. I know I have a parent that is yet to come. I'm going to contact her. She's one of my former students' daughters. Her mom was one of my parents at when I started school. So I'm hoping she'll contact me. She wanted some books. But if any of you want books for the holidays to give away for kids, please call me. I do want to give those away so people can enjoy them. I'm only keeping the ones that I will be using to read, and if I have extras, I only need one so I can give you the rest. So this is the end of my story. I just want to show you my dream catcher again. That the Navajo mom that was one of my parents when I worked in Adams 14 made for my daughter on her birthday. And since this is a dream catcher, I hope all your dreams are caught and all the bad dreams are filtered through the center. Que todos sus sueños se atrapen aquí y que todo lo malo salga por aquí, por el medio, para que tengan un feliz acción de gracias y que se mantengan salvos y con mucho cuidado, que compartan con su familia inmediata. No se arriesguen. Don't take unnecessary risk. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. Hay un dicho, there's a saying in Spanish, hay más tiempo que vida. There is more time than there is life. So if this time we cannot gather together with family, we have next year. But if we don't take care, we may not be around for the next Thanksgiving. So remember that, hay más tiempo que vida. So be patient, be wise. I hope you gathered some wisdom on what is important in life. Not the clothes we wear, not being proud, but being humble and kind. And also use your wisdom to make your choices today. So that way, for next week, for Thanksgiving. so that way nobody gets the coronavirus, gets ill, and we infect others. So take care, and I will see you. Voy a ver si hago una presentación para adultos mañana. Voy a ver si la puedo preparar para unas manualidades para preparar para Navidad. Y a ver qué más comparto para los adultos. Y con los niños, pues seguiré. El Día de Acción de Gracias es la siguiente cuento. Thanksgiving, I will be doing the Thanksgiving story and connecting it to the Native Americans. I have this book right here that I wanted to share with you also. Domitilia. Este es un libro de unos mexicanos que también es la versión mexicana de la Cenicienta. Esa después se la leeré. Bueno, espero que haya salido bien. No sé si mi voz está sincronizada bien. A lo mejor tendré que grabarla de la otra manera como lo hice con la versión de español de este cuento. Pero ojalá que les haya gustado y que hayan aprendido algo de que es importante no ser orgullosas, sino ser humildes y agradecidas. Use your wisdom to make your choices this week. I love my jewelry. These are from Puebla when I was with my family friends from Mexico. This one too. And this vest, I think I got from on the airport when I went to New Mexico or Arizona. I don't remember. It's really cool. It's got a lot of cool designs. So I'm glad I kept it. I almost gave it away. All right. Be safe, be wise, and we'll see you soon.